to create a new joint undergraduate programme. So we continue to be innovative, even though we are approaching nearly 200 years old in some of our disciplines. Let me, though, leave you with a couple of thoughts. As Dr. Coulcott told you, asked you to think about your careers, whichever direction your careers take you in, this is the beginning of a journey of a partnership. You started that partnership between the academic staff who taught you, your colleagues, and the professional service staff who have helped to recruit you and have helped to support you during your time with University College London. I'd like to thank all of them on your behalf for their steadfast support. Quite often it goes unrecognised and certainly unrewarded in terms of public accolades. So when we applaud at the end of this, I'd like you to make sure we reserve some of that applause, particularly for the professional service staff, the administrative staff who support you in your programs. You certainly emerge into a world that is less certain than it used to be. But one thing I think you can be confident, this is now becoming my stock phrase, your degree from University College London, and in particular from this faculty, is the only passport I think you're going to need for success in life forward. Please do keep in touch with us. We would like to tell you about the things we're doing in the Education Park and other innovations. So we will do our best to keep in touch with you. If you could let us know what you're doing, your successes, and we will be proud to show off about those as we are indeed to show off about our own achievements. Together, we embark then from today onwards in an effort to change the world for the better. Clearly there are many things to be done, but today let's not get weighed down too much with all those thoughts. Let's now go and celebrate your fantastic success. Well done.
I congratulate these graduates of UCL on their academic achievements. And it's now my great pleasure to introduce Sir Patrick Head and invite him to give the alumni address.
First of all, I must take out my notes and say what an amazing collection in this room of brains and talent. Also silly hats and gowns as well, but they're just for the day. In guidance for this short talk, I was advised that it should be humorous. And in reading through what I'd written this morning, I can see that I've failed miserably. Not enough jokes. But I hope there might be one or two useful pieces of advice. I graduated from UCL in mechanical engineering in 1970. Another century, another time. At the end of 2011, I retired from Williams Grand Prix Engineering, a company that Sir Frank Williams and I started back together in 1977. Back in 1970, following our final year exams, some extracurricular lectures were arranged. I don't know who arranged them, but they had a funny sense of humour. A series of 4 lectures on Fortran 4 programming, a mystery to me at the time, and remained so. Remember that no PCs were present at the time, but mainframe units taking up a lot of space. A macabre lecture given by an ex-coroner, graphically illustrated. One example was an unfortunate man who had decided to end his life under a train, spreading himself over 3 coroners' districts. Much time then spent deciding which district coroner would oversee the case. That wasn't a joke, but it was a bit odd that we had that lecture. I don't know who decided it would be useful to us. Finally, a lecture on future employment for engineers. We were advised that as engineers, we would be very unlikely ever to rise to corporate board level, which was a bit disappointing, although not my aim at the time, and that we should join HMRC to qualify and gain experience in corporation tax after 10 years having such valuable knowledge that would justify joining at board level. I find this a bit disappointing, but I hope that only a few of us took this advice, and I hope the path to senior positions for engineers is less obscure now. Many of you will already have either decided to continue your education to a higher level, maybe heading for academia and research, or have gained employment. I hope in fields that you'll find rewarding. I was passionately driven in specific direction, and via a rocky path established an engineering company, Williams, now employing more than 800 engineers, technicians and precision manufacturing staff. The process by which you find your calling may not be smooth, and should you find yourself dissatisfied with your work, then best to make changes before you load up with responsibilities. You will spend more time at your work than at any other place or activity during your working life, so best to find work and associates that really interest you. My father was an engineer in the army, retiring as a general in 1964, and my grandfather an engineer in the Navy, joining at the age of 9 in 1901 and finishing as an admiral in 1954, a career encompassing 2 world wars and the latter days of what was called empire, not truly politically correct these days, but both experienced pushback and limitations due to a specialisation they had chosen. Both resisted this and fought their quarter, possibly contributing what is now a much improved situation for technical personnel in the services. In civilian engagement, I think there is unfortunately still some element of keeping the engineers in the engine room, while financiers reap greater reward. So ensure that this aspect is correct at an early stage, as it will probably be harder to correct later. I hope not too many of you come across this problem. In Victorian times, there were many renowned entrepreneur engineers, and also since, but it's a balance that you must be aware of. For those finding work within a corporate structured environment, protocols will be in place, but for those participating in startups and small private businesses, you should ensure at an early stage that your work will gain suitable reward. For myself, engineering has been a most fulfilling career, but I realised that I was very privileged being able to maintain a strong level of influence over my working environment and those I worked with. Being within a smaller unit permitted one engineer to maintain involvement in concept, design, manufacture, assembly, testing, production approval and application. This is often not the case in engineering, and larger projects usually not permitting this continuity of engagement on a project, but still giving great satisfaction from working within a large team. I hope that your time at UCL has been very rewarding, not just in gaining a specialist education, but in meeting many people of different nations, and although you will likely be very intensively involved in your next activities, I urge you to remain in contact with many of your fellow graduates and the university. In many ways, the world has shrunk in recent years, becoming more insular, and I hope that many of you will consider this the wrong direction and act to reverse this. Most of us are now pretty bored with the Brexit subject, just urging our politicians to get on with it, and I have great confidence that the creativity and adaptability of the workforce in the UK will make the best of it. The current uncertainty is unhelpful for business and potentially having negative effect on many lives. I hope that many of you will not just have earned your qualification in the UK, but go on to practice your skills within the UK also. Although looking through the long list of graduates, many, I think now I've seen you all, most, will undoubtedly apply your skills overseas, and I hope that you find welcome wherever you are, wherever you find